If you're new to triathlon or you have your first triathlon coming up, then one of the questions you'll have and a purchase you'll be contemplating is a wetsuit.
Yeah, but there's a lot more to a triathlon wetsuit than meets the eye. So today we're diving in to everything you need to know about triathlon wetsuits.
Triathlon is an expensive sport, and after you've gathered all of the other essential equipment, you can be forgiven for thinking you don't need to spend any additional cash on a wetsuit. I mean, the swim is the shortest portion, and surely it can't be that cold, and anyway, you could just warm up on the bike afterwards.
Yeah, that's all true, but a triathlon wetsuit has advantages for the swim leg far beyond just warmth. And we'll take a look at all of those advantages and why your triathlon wetsuit is very much not your old surf wetsuit in a minute. But first, let's look at where and when you're actually allowed to use a triathlon wetsuit.
Yeah, well, first up, you don't necessarily need a triathlon wetsuit to complete a triathlon, but there are rules of when you can and can't use for them, and they do vary from governing body, but they're all relatively the same, and these will depend on the water temperature, the air temperature, and the distance of the race.
Yeah, we're going to look at World Triathlon's rules today, and there are, as Heather says, some variation with other governing bodies. But for World Triathlon, a wetsuit is mandatory. You have to wear one below 15.9 degrees Celsius. This is to prevent hypothermia, and you simply will not be allowed to start in your tri-suit. And then wetsuits are forbidden above 24.6 degrees. In the USA, this is actually higher at 78 Fahrenheit or 25.5 degrees. But this is to prevent hypothermia or overheating in the swim. It's a safety aspect.
Well, there are some adjustments that need to be made when the distance changes. For example, if your triathlon is 1,500 metre swim or less, then it actually drops down to 22 degrees for the cutoff. The same if the air temperature is 15 degrees or less, that will also affect the changes. For elites, though, for example, it can go down to as low as 20 degrees for a sprint elite triathlon.
Yeah, so assuming your triathlon is between the 15.9 degrees Celsius and 24.6 degrees Celsius, and you're allowed to wear a wetsuit, should you wear a triathlon wetsuit? Well, let's take a look at all the advantages of a triathlon wetsuit and how your triathlon wetsuit might differ crucially from that old surf wetsuit you have.
Firstly, they are faster, significantly faster. How much so? Well, that is determined a little bit by your stroke, the speed of your swimming, and of course the wetsuit itself. But it can be as much as 7% quicker, or 8 seconds per 100 meters, which can even equate to a total of 2 minutes over a standard distance triathlon. And it will be less, but it'll still be significant for an entry-level wetsuit compared to no suit at all.
They're also more buoyant than not wearing a wetsuit. And this is an important factor when it comes to safety. They can decrease that anxiety that triathletes and swimmers feel when they get into the swim leg.
Yeah, and finally, they are warmer. So they give you that insulation, which is a massive selling point for myself and I think James as well. And if that can reduce the intimidation of the swim, make you feel more happy and less anxiety, like James mentioned, then surely it's just another bonus. But now it's time to take a closer look.
The first thing you'll notice when you put on one of these suits is the outside is coated in this slippery rubber, unlike your surf wetsuit, which is probably just neoprene. This hydrophobic coating makes it a lot more slippery in the water and reduces drag. But it's also significantly less durable, so don't use your swim wetsuit for surfing.
Yeah, definitely not. And as you're trying it on or you're feeling it, you'll probably notice how thin the material is. Now, this is for flexibility, obviously, for being able to move your shoulders. But you'll also notice when you look closer that it has different panels of differing thicknesses. And actually, the body and the legs is quite often up to 5 mil thick, but then around the arms and the shoulders, it can be as little as 1 mil. But note, wetsuits for swimming in triathlon cannot be any thicker than 5 mil.
Yeah. And the one final thing you'll notice when you put it on is just how tight it is. It is very tight and it's going to hug your body very closely, more so than a surf wetsuit. And this is obviously important when you're in the water to keep your body as streamlined as possible and to avoid any pockets of water that you would have to carry all the way around the swim course.
Once you jump in the water, there are a few things you'll notice immediately. First one being, it isn't a dry suit. The water is going to seep into your wetsuit, but you want to embrace this for a couple of reasons. First up, as that water goes in, it's actually going to be acting like a layer of lubrication, so it will help with the fit of your wetsuit and just its movement against your skin. And the second is actually going to help keep you warm, which might sound a little bit of a contradiction because as you start to feel that cold water seep in, it's a rather unpleasant feeling. But once it's in there, that layer of water should stay there. Your body body will warm it up and it'll actually keep you warm as you're swimming through that cold water.
And you'll also notice immediately the buoyancy. Now, there's additional buoyancy in the legs of a swim wetsuit, which help keep your body in a more horizontal position, which is better for swimming, unlike your surf wetsuit, which is more designed to have you in a vertical position. And this buoyancy is quite noticeable, the difference. It should help you keep your legs up quite easily. Let's go swim.
Once you start swimming, you'll feel the triathlon wetsuit come into its own. Your body position should be better, your feet nearer the surface, and a better feel for your body rotation. You'll probably also have a better catch due to the better body position and the catch panels most suits have, which should all come together to make you feel noticeably faster as you glide through the water. The added constriction on your chest and little resistance on your shoulders can take some getting used to, and you may even feel your shoulders aching after your first few swims, but this should pass after only a few swims.
Now, as you get out the water, you'll also notice that your triathlon suit slips off pretty easily, and this is another key design feature over that old surf wetsuit of yours, helping you have a nice, speedy T1.
Yeah, well, that was a lovely swim, but like James has said, the swim wetsuits are very different to your surf wetsuits. And we've got a couple of final points before we go. When it comes to buying wetsuits, they're not all created equally, and you will get more the more you pay. So the more expensive wetsuits are going to offer a better fit, more flexibility, and better buoyancy. So you want to consider exactly what your budget is.
Yeah, on that note though, when you're considering your budget, there's a pretty good resale market for triathlon wetsuits. And if you look after your wetsuit and don't put holes in it, you can sell it on for a decent amount down the road. So factor that in when you're deciding how much you can spend on that triathlon wetsuit of yours.
Well, hopefully this has helped you prepare, whether it's for your first triathlon or just choosing what triathlon wetsuit to invest in. Thanks for watching. I think we need to get back in the water. And James, maybe it's even warm enough for going without the wetsuit. I mean, what is it? 25 degrees, isn't that on the limit?
No way.
I think that's it.
I'm putting this back on.